Let us begin. Let us begin. We are live. Let's see who we have here today. Damn, we got 9 already. I said let them wait, so maybe that's the formula. I can't see anybody's comments. Somebody say something so I know that the comments are working. Somebody say something so that I know that the comments are working. I don't see anybody's comments. Somebody say something so I know that the comments are working. 3. Going once. Going twice. Let me check Patreon, and everybody's gone. Let me check Patreon to see. Someone say something so I know the comments are working. Okay, Emeka one. Udo. All right, we are live. This is Derek Oforunwa with the Medicine Shell. I teach Igbo spirituality known as Odinala here on the Medicine Shell. Okay, the people are in the house. The people are in the house. Udo, working 9 to 5. Hey, we got to do it. Udo. But you will go where you are aiming to go. Nahachi, in the name of your chi. Adema. Once we get 10 people in here, we'll go ahead and begin. For those who don't know, this is Ask Me Almost Anything. I'm here to answer any questions. In the title, I put that I teach ancestral medicine. So we have a traditional medicine class that we're going to start signing up for very soon. You can sign up early if you want. The traditional medicine class is for those who have a calling to be a healer. Usually you'll know you have a calling based on various signs. If you want to know if you have an inclination or you've had a certain type of dream or something and you think that that's you, send me a message on Patreon, send me a message by email, and I'll kind of walk through it with you. But the class is for those who have the calling to be a healer. We go from level 1, level 2. You learn divination and all that. 2 nights in a row. I didn't go. I skipped a night. I wanted to do last night, but I had a lot of things to do for school. If you guys don't know, I'm also back in school. So I wanted to do yesterday, but I couldn't. So it's actually I skipped the night. Udo. Once we get 10 people here, we'll go ahead and begin. This is Ask Me Almost Anything. I'm here for your questions or topics or anything you want to bring up. Not to get morbid, but I've been reading let me say that. Did you go the Masters of Psychology route? Yes, I did. You did, man. I've been moving around so much, we've lost track of time. I don't blame you. Real question. In my prison, how do I practice while I'm here? Okay. There were 304 money. I answer a question. I want to answer this one immediately, but once I want to get to 10 people, so I don't know if you got time. Once we get 10 people here, we'll go ahead and start the live. Appreciate you reaching out. 304. What zip code is that? 304. Is that Florida? 304. Where are you from? 304. West Virginia. Okay. West Virginia. Odinala. Says I'm from Georgia. Why did I say that? Okay, either way. Odinala. Miami, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe 304 money knows why he goes by 304 money. So we'll just leave it at that. Odinala. Once we get 2 more people in here, we'll go ahead and start answering questions. I will pour libations today, and I can't. They need to sponsor me for me to hold this forward, but I'll be pouring libations today. We have hit 10 people, he said. All right, let me go ahead and begin. Umuibem. Umuchukwu. Ojabiala. Eji m ọjị ya n'aka na-ekele unu. Okike kere ụwa. Ala bụ ala. Ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ. Ala nne na-enye ndụ na-enye nke ọma dị n'ụwa. Ala na-agọzi mmadụ na-agọzi mmụọ. Nne anyị siri bịa, nne anyị si elo. Ejikwere m obi Ọma na-ekele gị. Ọjị abịala. Eji m ọjị n'aka na-ekele ndị ọkpụ na ndị ichie, ndị mbụ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ. Ejikwere m ọjị na-ekele mmụọ na-esoro anyị na mmụọ anyị na-eso ebe anyị na-aga. Ejikwere m ọjị na-ekele nna nna m, nna nna na-enye m ndụ. Ejike ogbu ọkpụ, ejikwere m obiọma na-ekele gị. Ejike nna Ejike nwanwu ihe, ejikwere m ọjị na-ekele gị. Nna Emene aha, ejikwere m ọjị na-ekele gị. Nna Ukwebu, ejikwere m ọjị na-ekele gị. Nna Ụfọdụ nwa, ejikwere m ọjị na-ekele gị. Nna Akaweze, ejikwere m ọjị na-ekele gị. Eji m ọjị na-ekele ndị ichie unu niile na ndị ọkpụ unu niile, ndị mbụ unu niile na ndị egede unu niile, ndị mmadụ unu dị otu, na ndị mmụọ anyị niile ji n'otu obi. Otu a ka ọ ga-adị na Eke na Orie na Afọ na Nkwọ. Ise. Ise. All right, let us go ahead and begin. All right, so I'm going to start answering the questions. For those who don't know, what I just did there was I greeted the Creator. I greeted the earth. I greeted the earth by as many honor names as I could give her, because we're grateful for her for giving us life, for giving us sustenance. We are children of the earth. This is earth, right? This is earth. We are children of the earth. We are beings of light and beings of flesh merging together for one time, one purpose, one cause. And in that, we give thanks to everything it took to create us, the earth. If you do not believe the earth is one of your ancestors, then I don't know, maybe you're from another planet, right? If you do not believe the creator is your creator, then I don't know. If you don't believe the sky is one of your ancestors, then I don't know. And then from there, I acknowledge my own personal ancestors because I wanted to show an example of how it was done. I was very grateful. This week, I learned of a new ancestor, right? I learned of a new ancestor, so I'm very grateful for that. So I made sure that the name was called. I don't know his story yet because it's very far back, right? But his name is Ejike Obuapo, right? Which his name means the killing blow, or the finishing blow, like the TKO, right? So I'm curious as to why he had that name. But that being said, now bringing it back to here, and then I give acknowledgements to all of your ancestors, all of the those you are one with, your families, your communities, the people that you come from, the people that you'll connect with on your way going. I gave acknowledgements and I greeted all those people, and I said that we're all going to be one on all 4 days of the week. Our ancestors use 4 days in a calendar. That 7-day thing is not real, right? Eke, where's my finger? Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo. Those are the 4 days of the week. We gave acknowledgements to all 4 of those days. Those are the 4 pathways, the 4 rivers by which all people enter and exit this world. Those are the 4 building blocks that the Creator uses to build all things. Those are the 4 powers that we use to actualize purpose and actualize life in this world. So I gave acknowledgements to everything worthy of acknowledgement, but you can never run out of things that to acknowledge. So I did that. I made sure to show you guys an example, but you will do your own in the way that your chi guides you, the way that resonates with you. Just make sure it's real when you do it. Okay. So let's go to the top. Ndewo, 2 nights in a row. We already answered that. Master, okay, I technically answered that. Two. All right, real question. I'm in prison. How do I practice while I'm here? Okay, 304 money. So first and foremost, keep your head up. The main thing you're going to want to do to begin is to begin learning the names and the stories of your ancestors. Begin learning the names and your stories of your ancestors, okay? As you are learning their names, you're also trying to learn their stories. This is not something that you're going to be able to do in a day. This is not something you're going to be able to do in a year. This is a lifelong process. Your ancestors go to the beginning of time. And the more you seek them out, the more they begin to arrive, right? They are with you. They are always with you. They have always been with you. But once you know their names and their stories, a lot of the things you start that happen in your life, you begin realizing where it's coming from, right? Let's say you have a certain dream and somebody keeps showing up and doing some specific thing. And maybe you just think it's a random old woman or a random old man or da 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 da. And you come to find out that this is your great 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 grandmother, your great 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 grandfather, and he has something for you. He has a message for you, right? So, what you are trying to do in this practice is you're trying to not only understand and stand in your truth and in yourself, but to also understand that you are bigger than the flesh. You're even bigger than flesh and spirit. You are a branch in something, a tree that extends all the way to the beginning of time, to your very first ancestor, who is the creator. Now, we see the creator as a mother and a father, obviously, right? Chi na eke. Chi na eke. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to learn the names of your ancestors, right? You're going to learn their stories. It's going to be difficult. The more difficult, the more worth it is at the end, right? As you are learning their names and their stories, you are understanding that they are a part of you and you are a part of them. It's all one body, right? And so you are waking up. When you wake up in the morning, right? Even though you're locked up, try to wake up with the rising sun. When you wake up, you give them their acknowledgements, however you want to do that. Now, I use Igbo to acknowledge my ancestors. I would assume some of your ancestors speak English. You can use English, right? That's fine, right? But the further back you go, I would not be surprised if you now start speaking the language of the soil, right? Speaking something from back home. Begin to acknowledge your ancestors, give them their greetings in the morning. That's really all you have to do. So and so, I greet you. So and so, I greet you. So and so, I greet you. When you are greeting them, you're not just projecting words out of your mouth, right? Right now, like you'll meet people who just speak from their mouth, right? But we understand in Odinani that where one thing stands, another thing stands next to it, right? Ebobala mmadụ kwadoro, ihe ọzọ kwadoro n'akụkụ ya, which means wherever one stands, something else stands on the side of it. All things come into the world as twos. You are both body and spirit. So when you speak to spirit, you don't just speak with hi, whoever I greet you, you put your spirit into it, right? Your spirit has to speak too. Those two things standing next to each other have to speak at the same time, right? So, and you are their representative in the world. You are not their subservient. You are not their underling. You are not their sheep. You're not whatever. You are their representative in the physical world. They are your representatives in the physical. You are their hand in the physical. They are your hand in the spiritual. I think I said that wrong the first time, right? So you speak with authority, right? You speak with authority. You're speaking amongst equals. You understand, right? Give them their acknowledgments. And then you declare what will happen that day. You declare what will happen. So after you greet everybody, you declare what will happen that day. Today, we're going to have this. We're going to have this. This is going to happen. That is going to happen. Right? And it shall be so on Eke Urie. Use these days. Use these 4 days. Eke, E-K-E. I'll type it for you. Okay? It shall be so on Eke Urie Afo Nkwo. And then you say Ise. If it's something that you mean from the marrow of your bones, instead of saying Ise, say Ofo. But anything if you say Ofo, it's law. It's universal law. You can't lie on it. You can't go against it. You can't, I don't feel like doing that today, though, even though I said all fall. You have made a pact, right? But if you want to take it easy, say. You understand, right? Different levels of seriousness, different levels of power. Okay. So you are acknowledging your ancestors, go one by one, you greet them, that kind of thing. You give them something if you have something, right? If you're eating, you give them a little bit of what you're eating. If but acknowledge this, right? Give them something worthy, right? I'm not taking a pack of marshmallows and Skittles to my ancestors. I'm just not doing that because I know I lived with my grandfather. He's not going to take that shit. He's not going to take it, right? He's not going to take it, right? Give them something worthy, right? And as you're giving them something worthy, remember too, whatever you give them, you eat as well, right? So that may cause you to change your own system of eating, how you eat, right? One of the things that's important to learn is maybe as you're learning their stories, also learn what type of things they ate. I know it's hard for you where you're at, right? But the reason I'm making this very specific is I don't think everything they're serving you guys is top quality or top of health, but there has to be something in there that's worthy. If not, water is adequate. Water is fine. Miribundo, water is life. Okay. Whatever you're partaking in, you give them a little bit too. You are one. You, as you're entering a room, you have an entire army that is with you, and they've always been with you, and you felt them your entire life. You just maybe don't have a name for those things, or you can't place a person or a face on it or a story. But once you start learning those stories, all of a sudden you start going, "Oh, okay, okay, okay." I'll give you an example. So, as I was growing to understand Odinani, right? I had this dream. I was called up to one of my ancestors' houses, and I went up there, and there was another ancestor sitting in there, and it wasn't the one that used to own the house. He was looking at me, right? Like he was a scary looking dude, right? He was like right, like he like if shit, he was a scary looking dude. Like I don't even have the words to describe it. Like he had these very like piercing eyes, right? And I knew exactly who that was. And I knew exactly what that message was without him saying anything. That's why it's important. Now, had I had that dream, I would have been like, "Oh, I went in this room and there was this guy staring at me, and he was kind of, he looked kind of aggressive or kind of, and then I woke up." It wouldn't mean nothing. But that dream sent me on a mission to become an adult man because I knew who that was and I knew what he was saying. Right. So, like I said, you dream every day. You see signs every day. But as you begin to contact that part of you that's on that other side, they begin to make these things clear and they guide you through the world, right? So learn the names of your ancestors, give them their acknowledgments, and then walk into a room knowing that they're with you. That you're bigger than what is there. You're bigger than your surroundings. You're bigger than even your physical. You're bigger than even your spirit, right? You're bigger than the moment. You're more than that, right? I can say it all I want, but you have to experience it, and you will experience. I promise you. Come back. I'll. I know you and I will talk in a year. I know you and I will talk in a year, right? So yeah, that's really it. So usually to speak to your ancestors, you don't always have to, but I personally would highly recommend setting up an altar. So the altar is just the place where you guys meet. This is the place where we meet, where we break bread, where we share wine, where we share. I mean, I don't know what you have access to in there. You're on YouTube live, so I'm assuming I'm assuming, right? You got a little something, right? So yeah, that kind of thing. And as you grow and just take your time. This is not a thing where you got to like learn everything at once. It's really not complicated, right? But it can be complicated if you want it to be. If you want to go deep, if you want to go further and further and further, it never ends, right? But what you need for day to day to practice and access it, it's not much. It's just learning, spending your life learning the names and the stories of your ancestors, right? And then living as their representative on earth as they represent you on that other side. You understand? That's really what it is, right? Getting to know. When you set up the altar too, the altar is you know how like they have those planetariums. I don't know what they call like a little figurine of like the solar system. It's got the sun, then you got Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, kind of just surrounding the sun. That is the altar is you. You're representing yourself as, but not just, again, you're bigger than this, right? So it's you as a solar system. Your whole, it's you as it's the universe that is you. You are an entire universe with a lot of things moving in there. And it's your walk in life is to assure that they walk in peace, they walk in power, and they walk in purpose. Right? I didn't even do that on purpose. 3 P's, right? They walk in peace, they walk in power, and they walk in purpose together, right? Together. For most of us, all these different parts are clashing and colliding, but you're the master of that universe. That's you. So what you're doing is first you're learning what's all in this universe. That's why it's important to learn your ancestors, right? And then from there, you're the sun in the center of the whole thing. So you're the one controlling the orbit of what's in. And when you are able to control that internal orbit, you can control the external. That you as a solar system, that you as a universe, we call that your ezumezu, your ezumezu, right? EZUMEZU. This is the four-faced you, right? The you that sees in all directions, the 360, all seeing, all knowing, all being you. And that's what you are gradually going to begin to access. So that's really it, that's really it. Just know your ancestors, acknowledge them, set up a little place where you guys can speak. I would assume you have limited access to things. I don't know what it's like there, but try to make sure, like, if you have something, okay, this is representing my great grandfather Jeremiah, make sure it's something that feels like your great grandfather Jeremiah, right? It can't just be like just whatever. It has to feel. If it doesn't feel like that person, if you don't feel their essence on that thing, or doesn't take you to them, or make you think of them, then I would, use what you can, but I would try to find something that resonates. That's the word, resonates as them. Okay. The reason, there's a lot of reasons that's important. I think you can kind of deduce the whole thing just by yourself, but just every ancestor you're representing, every part of yourself you're representing, make sure it feels like that thing, right? And then that's how your altar space starts coming alive. Your OB starts coming alive. I'm gonna stop using the word altar. I think it's OB. Odinala. What's up? Or is that shelter? Okay. Oh, ndewo. Good question, man. Can you speak broadly about the sign that you, broadly on signs that you have been called to heal? So the understanding in Odinala is that dibia bunye na amu. Dibia bunye ana amu, right? A dibia is something you give birth to. It is not something you create. Healers are born, they are not made. Healers are born, they are not made. So certain people in this world are that. Certain people in this world are healers, right? And whether or not they know it, that's just what it's going to be. That's who they are. Whether or not they accept their calling, that's who they are. When they are ready to accept their calling, they will excel beyond excelling if they do, right? They will excel beyond excelling if they do. So who are these people? We talk about this in our traditional medicine class, right? And I'm trying to think of some things you can use. Usually, dreams will tell you, right? So, a lot of healers are visited by three things: a very stern old woman, like a mean looking, stern old woman, a tall masquerade, right? I thought the tall masquerade one was just going to be for like people from like who like have lived back home and seen masquerades and things like that. But in our last traditional medicine class, I hope he's watching too. In our last traditional medicine class, we had a student who came on there, and he's Black American, but he had a dream of a tall masquerade. And he brought that up in class. I was like, because he's like, what does that spirit, now I'll talk about what spirit it is. What does it look like in dreams? And I said, a stern old woman and dwarves with dreadlocks, right? Dwarves with dreadlocks is what I told him. I skipped tall masquerade, assuming, shouldn't do that, right? Assuming that since he was from America, that wouldn't show up in his cosmic imagination. But he goes, what about like a big masquerade? I was like, I said, yeah, actually, I skipped that. You know what I mean? Because I didn't think you'd be having those kind of dreams. But yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's kind of what brought him to the class. And so those three things usually comes in those forms: a dog or a tortoise, sometimes a python, right? And so those things will appear in dreams either regularly or they'll appear in a dream of significance, like they're trying to tell you something or trying to show you something. But for the most part, this is the more simple way of knowing if you're a healer. Does healing resonate with you? You don't have to go too far into what we can, I mean, what they call spiritual or spirituality in the West to know. The life and the work and the walk of a dibia interest you? Do you look at that and it gives you life and it excites you? That's what it is. That's all it is, right? Why? Because okay, everybody is born, right? So you are part your mother, part your father, all the way back to your original ancestor, which is the creator. Your father, the part of you that's your father is your chi. This is your spark of the creator, your personal uh God, let's call it that, right? Your chi, right? And then eke, your physical form as well as your destiny. That's your mother. You understand? Those things come together and they're you. Now, purpose comes from that chi. Purpose comes from the chi. And when the chi is activated, like when you're walking in the right direction, it feels like the sun. If you want to understand the chi, understand the sun. There's no difference between what's going on in here and what's going on out there. So if you want to understand the chi, understand the sun. When you approach the things that are for you, you will light up. You will light up. You will feel light. You'll feel it, right? Don't worry about someone telling you. Don't worry about, oh, the guy on YouTube said, if it, you will feel it. And that's what I want more people to start doing, right? Let me give you a real simple one. You're in the club. They play one song, you don't like it, but you get up and maybe you see a girl that you want to dance with, so you start dancing with them. But you're not dancing that well. Like you're not really in it because you don't like the song, right? You don't like the song. But what if the DJ now puts on like your song, right? All of a sudden you dance better. All of a sudden you're more charismatic. All of a sudden you look better, right? Why? Because something about that, your song, your chi activated. It lit up your divine spark. That's what it is. So take it outside of that common example and move it into life. When you get into these esoteric spaces and you're talking medicine and you're talking healing and does that give you light? If so, you're probably a healer. I don't even want to say, but you are, right? You are. And in the past, I always cite this document. I feel like I cite it once every live. By the way, get on the Patreon. I have like over 300 books, documents, things like that. This is one of them. This is one of them. So a guy asked this woman in Igbo land, asked this woman who's a midwife because he's doing research on midwifery. And he goes, how did you become a midwife? And she goes, oh, I was born as a midwife. And he's like, how do you know you're born as a midwife? And she goes, anytime midwifery was being done, I would appear, right? Anytime midwifery was being done, I would appear. You understand? You now take that into your regular everyday life. Your regular everyday life. There are some kids that they'll see people skateboarding and they'll just walk past it. Okay, cool. There are some kids they'll see people skateboarding and they have to stop and they have to look at that thing, right? Why? Because it's in them too. It's in them too, right? What we understand as far as Odinani is that people don't really put things in you. You just discover what's already in there. So when people start talking that healing, that esoteric, da 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 da, if you light up, odds are, yeah, that's you, right? Now here's my thing. I don't think, I don't, I don't, I don't really gear my channel towards entertainment, right? I don't really. It's not like I do some things here and there, but it's more educational, if anything. Some of you have been here for like 5 years, right? It's not by accident, right? It's not by accident. And then you turn around and start telling this to another person who this doesn't resonate with. They're like, "Yo, what the Why is this one talking about? Right? So, I'm glad I have you guys because I used to just drop all this stuff on just people in my life, just period. Like, hey, you're gonna listen to this shit, right? And they don't want to hear it, right? And they're like, okay, here comes with this. They used to say, well, they used to call me my cousin-in-law was calling me I think called me Farrakhan or something, right? You understand? But I don't. I know I'm drawn to this stuff for a reason. I know, and it lights me up for a reason, and that reason is not to be ignored, right? You're in essence learning who you are. You're learning about yourself. You understand? So when you're around that stuff and you start, right? Like that's why, like people talk about this thing like, oh, geniuses. This person's a genius. That person's that's not real. That's not real. You are meeting people who have found what their chi has for them. That's all it is. And they seem extraordinary because that's their thing, right? If you talk to me about history, you think I was like a quadruple professor, right? Whatever the term is for it, right? A double black belt, jujitsu, dot, whatever, as far as history. There's nothing history wise that I can't learn at a very, very, very in depth level, right? Ask me what 11 plus 15 is really fast. Kind of a shit. I don't know if I got that, right? That kind of thing, right? Because there's something about that thing, that history thing, that is my chi, that's connected to my chi, but not so much the math thing. I wish the math thing, like I seriously wish the math thing, but nah, it's just so be it. I have to accept it. My son, on the other hand, right? Namdi, since he was like 3, what's 65 times 41? Boom, he'll give you the answer. You understand? He doesn't even think about it. You understand? Me? Right, that kind of thing. So that's really what it is, That's really what it is. Odinma. If I'm trying to understand what this he said Abibi fa hoodie. What does that mean? I've seen you say that before too. I've seen you say that before too. Okay, let's go back. Does Odinala have an explanation or categorized for ADHD or autism? So the way Western psychology works is it takes a group of things and says that's this, and a lot of that is based on the context of Western culture, right? So no, I don't think there's like a this is autism, this is ADHD. I think that's more of a Western classification thing. It doesn't mean those things aren't real. It doesn't mean those things aren't real, right? But this is autism, this is ADHD, not necessarily. We do have our own ancestral system of psychology. We do have our own ancestral system of psychology. Now, I don't want to, I'm going to hesitate to say this. I'm going to trust you guys with what I'm going to say because I don't want people to jump to conclusions. But when I made my Obanje explained video, and it's funny because when I first started this, of all the things I talk about, Obanje was the one I believed in the least. I was like, this is the silliest. This is goofy. Like, but I'm archiving. I'm not here to talk about my opinion. I'm here to just give you guys what it is, and then from there, you guys can tell me whatever you think about it. But I was like, all right, what I guess I got to do an Obanje video. Okay, so Obanje is this and this and that. Some of them like candy. Blah, blah, blah. Man, do you know how many autistic people reached out to me and said, "Yo, that's me." That's me. That's me. And you can go to the comments. Go read the comments. Are you sure this is an autism? Are you sure this is an autism? Are you sure there's just so many people over and over and over just to bring up this autism because it sounded they heard themselves. A lot of them would reach out and say like that, oh yeah, that this is me, that you're just like the thing you're describing is me, but I've always just said that like I'm a mermaid or an alien, right? I'm an alien. I've always said I'm an alien. I always said I'm a mermaid. I'm always an alien. I think it happened twice. 2 people describe themselves as like one as a mermaid, one as an alien, right? But that it's autism, but they actually think it's Obanje. So I'm not now. The reason I'm saying I trust you guys is because I don't want to be like, oh, okay, autism is Obanje. I, don't do that, right? Let's not do that. I'm just telling you what I saw. Had a lot of autistic people reach out to me and say that's whatever. ADHD, I don't know. I think everybody in Nigeria has ADHD, so there's no way you can there's no way it can be its own classification. Everybody has ADHD. So yeah, but yeah, anyways, there's no one-to-one equivalent for ADHD, autism, but we have disorders, we have psychological disorders that you guys don't have a one-to-one translation for either. Let me find my book. Hold on, there we go. So again, I always tell you guys this is my favorite book right now, and see how many times I got to pull this thing up. If you guys are on the lives regularly, you know I pull up this book a lot. So let's go to some psychiatric disorders in Odinala. Let me find some psychiatric disorders in Odinala. Give me just a second. Ta, 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 ta. Wait for it. I think I almost found it. No. Okay, let me go to the index. Psychiatric disorders in Odinala. Some diagnoses, categories of ARA. Okay, perfect, right? So check this out. We have a thing called Arauke. That there's nothing in the, I don't think there's anything in the DSM-5 for Arauke that that equates Arauke. But Arauke is it's this psychological and spiritual, it's an ara, right? So it's a spiritual psychological disorder where a person becomes obsessed with the concept of a group, right? They either become obsessed with being a part of that group or like joining that group or the fact that they're in it. They become so obsessed with it that it destroys the rest of their life, right? The other parts of their life kind of fall to the wayside. They become something other than themselves once they are in the group or in the pursuit of being in that group. You understand? That's called arauke. It's a group madness. You understand? When they're in that group, they become obsessive. They become incapable of reasoning. They're possessed by the spirit of that group, right? They become obsessed. They can't reason beyond what the group says. What the group tells them to do, they do. What the group wants from them, they give. It's just, they just lose themselves. Another thing about disorders in ancestral psychology is that, or ara, ogwara, madness medicine, right? Is that things are not disorders unless they pull you away from your people, right? If you can coexist with your people, you're okay. It's just you're a little different, right? If you can coexist with your people. Once you start pulling, the thing that pulls you away from your people is ara, that's madness. Like ara is like something that wandered off or spiraled out of control, that kind of thing, right? So you see that like in America, you see it with a lot of people that get like really serious schizophrenia. All of a sudden they just wander off, they go live under the bridge, that kind of thing, right? That's a small example of it. You get it with a lot of disorders where the person can't be a part of society anymore because of whatever's going on with them. Either maybe they're hyper violent, that kind of thing. But let's say somebody's like extra bipolar, but they're just part of the family. They just happen to be the bipolar one. That's not considered ARA. ARA is once that thing starts making you do that. So you see how arauke is one of them. All of a sudden you have this obsession with this group, and all of a sudden you start pulling away from the rest of your life, and then the group spirit possesses you, right? And so the book gives like cures and things like that. There's some funny ass ones. There was one, I can't remember the name of it, but once you have it, you become obsessed with showing people how strong you are, and you start trying to lift things at all times and act really aggressive, which is really funny because there's this like Igbo content creator who, I don't know if you guys have seen him. What did he say? My power is too much. You know that guy? I don't know if the guy that was asking, I show speed for money like a jackass. No offense to him. I don't want him to show me his power, Big Coney. He always tries to bend that thing. So there's a textbook description of my man in this book. It says that's a certain type of aura. But, you know, in America, that wouldn't be considered. That'd just be, oh, he's a bodybuilder. Oh, he's the macho man, Randy Savage. Oh, that's, I'm trying to think of who else. Ronnie Coleman, right? That's Eric Bugenhagen or whatever. People, that type of thing. So yeah, that's that. But in the West, that's not Ara. That's not you're not that's not a mental illness. So no, there's no one-to-one translations for these things. A lot of them are based on what that society thinks is abnormal or not conducive. You understand? So I don't think like Arauke. I don't think if I go to Utah and I'm living amongst the Mormons, I don't think Arauke would be in that wouldn't be a madness. That wouldn't be an Ara, right? If I go to Mecca and I'm hanging out with the Muslims, I don't think that would be an Ara. That's just a way of life over there. So yeah. You can't go wrong with the goat or the chicken. No mystery meat though. I don't know if they're serving goat there, but yeah, you can't go wrong with the goat and the chicken. No mystery meat. Alafia, Alafia. I read a post on Facebook that argued that the Kali Yuga is the most efficient yuga for liberation because eternal blocks. Yes, yes, yes. A lot of things, in order for new things to be built, old things have to be destroyed. So if you're in an era of destruction, it's also an era for that has a high potential of renewal and liberation and all these different things. So yeah, I know what they mean and I agree. I know what they mean and I agree, right? That kind of thing. It's also hard to maintain a veil in the midst of chaos. So you might not have yams in the Bing, but man, you need to chill out. All smiles be on Odinala. Is there a specific all smiles be in there? Well, in Odinala, is there a specific spirit, proverb, deity, or title for a force or a person that wanders, observer, documents, but does not ever take a family or their own? That is simple their purpose. All smiles be. So I am actually trying to figure out this concept of ele. I've been trying to figure out for years, but in a lot of things that pertain to Odinala, there's this abara that or person. I don't know, but probably an abara. This abara that keeps coming up named ele, right? There's Ugwele, there's the Ijele masquerade. There's just a whole lot of things and they relate with each other. There's a connection. The phrase ele means the observer. Ele, observation, that which is observing, right? So I'm going to look further into this concept of ele. A lot of people will say it means this, it means that. Like I usually say, I want to have it confirmed in two places before I start saying what it is. But this concept of an observer, an abara, that's an observer, ele. I don't know if ele is also another name for something else, right? Ele could be anyangu. It sounds like anyangu, the eye of light, right? Ele, the observer, makes perfect sense. So I'm trying to figure out. I think it might be anyangu, but I don't know yet. But as far as like an observer, that kind of thing, it would be ele. It would be ele or Dema. Doors with dreadlocks sound like Dada people. Yeah, yeah, very correct. Whoa, I had a dream that a tall masquerade that was pretending to be my dad after he passed away, but he was scary. Yes, they're always scary. Olivia, yeah. It's Olivia. You know what that means. Dalo. Hey, somebody just dropped a donation. He said, all of humanity is in the soil. He said, he got it one day, 100%. Brandon, thank you for all smiles be. Thank you for that. We're damn, y'all are going off tonight. Let me find where we're at. I'm so behind. I'm gonna try to be quick. All right. Ago comes like those things. Yes. Do healers like to pick their own scabs, bro? I don't. Do you? I don't know. So it's like Kalunga or Dienga. That last word you put, Dienga, do you mean Dikenga? Because if that's like the Congo from the Congo, there's a lot of similarities. As far as African people, right? As far as African people, I'm even talking about the diaspora. As far as African people, we are all generally saying the same thing. but different cultures put different emphasis on different parts. I'm actually making a video right now that's going to show you what I mean by that, right? So I'm going to be comparing the Akan spiritual system with the Igbo system. I'm just focusing on the differences because everything else is the same except these few differences, right? And it's just who places emphasis where, right? The Akan believe that it's your Mo that does the reincarnating. The Igbo believe it's your Agon. But those two, they all agree that those two things are part of the four essences that make you who you are. So that kind of thing. So yeah, if you're referring to the Congo, I think that's Dikenga. I think you're referring to the Congo cosmogram, Congo system. Then yeah, Kikongo system. Then yeah, very similar. What do you know of dreams where dogs attack you? Interesting. Been told something different from voodoo people than what Isese people tell me. Curious. Odinani, big dog attacked and bit me. Then a small dog. Then a small dog after. The best way to interpret dreams is not really about the sequence of events. It's about how when you encountered each thing, how did you feel? Right? When you encountered each thing, how did it feel? Also, if you can give me some, like, what were you doing? Like, you just kind of got there and the dog started chasing you. You understand. Is it a recurring dream? That kind of thing. I think a lot of people jump, oh, your dream means this. There's no, right? You have to know the details. So if you want to give more details on the dream, I can try my best, but I'm going to let you know that my interpretation, I'm not a dream reader. I'm just going to give you the interpretation based on my knowledge and experience. But that's not my expertise. I'm not a dream reader. There are people who do that as far as Odinani goes, right? But yeah. Duru brings the edutainment that KRS won, man. Oh man, Creative Force, you're on bullshit tonight, bro. Hey, yeah, man. Shout out to the teacher. Hey, how you doing? Shout out to the teacher. Ndewo, Lucky Becky. I see some little celebratory things. Let me see them little hearts. How come you guys don't hit the little heart button anymore? What happened? You guys don't hit the little heart button. Maybe I should just shut this live off. Nobody's got love. Okay, I see some. Has there ever been a hermit or Gnostic type of social class in Odinani? Oh, this is interesting. Not to my knowledge. But there are, okay, so as far as Igbo culture goes, there's like different types of Igbo people, right? And there are some people who live a monk-like life, right? They're kind of monk-like. They don't fight. They're more focused on these spiritual affairs that we kind of discuss. One of them will be the Inri, the Umunri people. Another one would be the Aro people. Another one would be called people they call Usu. All three of them are related, by the way. They're all the same, right? All three of them are the same. And when the Europeans arrived, they said that these were like Levites, or these were like the Levite, like the priestly people. But they have communities, right? So they're not isolated. They have huge communities, massive. I think Arochukwu was the biggest town pre-colonialism, right? So they have big communities. They're not isolated per se, right? So not completely like a monk where you're kind of just walking off and that kind of thing, but similar in focus and demeanor and that kind of thing, right? Again, anything that pulls you away from your people, we don't really see that as a good sign. We don't see that as a good sign. Ndewo, Dion. Is Dion one of your names? Is Dion one of your names? You know, Igbo people, we always have English name and a traditional name. Is that your traditional name? Has there ever been okay? Already got that. I'm not great at math, but I'm still in school for engineering. LOL. Kudos to you. I respect. You always respect people more when they do the things that are difficult for you. So math is tough for me, right? I wish it wasn't. I wish it wasn't, but it is. Right, and I'm okay with that. In the sense that I can do it, but I have to work harder to get to where others would be, or not others, but some people don't have to work as hard as I do. Like there are some people who, put in 5 minutes of work and I put in 2 hours of work and we're at the same place. Right. And that tends to happen with math a lot with me, but I accept it. It's cool. Right. Okay. It's tweet for black liberation being used as a form of greeting to set the tone purpose. Okay. That's dope. That's dope. Udo. Legal stuff is definitely my kryptonite. Luckily, my friends help me translate. Yeah, 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 yeah. I can do legal stuff at a slightly over mediocre level. I can understand legal logic. Like I can win a court case, right? Sometimes I hope someone to try me. I also want to try me because I get it. Like I get how to make that work. Like I'd be if I had known, like if I grew up in Texas, I probably would have went to law school. And the reason I say that is because Texas lawyers are so funny, bro. Like they're like trolls. Like you see the big ass signs, like they're just saying crazy thing like "I'll get you your money," all that stuff. You can tell they're just doing whatever, right? And my that was not my idea of a lawyer growing up, but I was like, if you can just be trolling and helping people get away with crimes, like who's that one on TikTok? Jay. You guys know his name, Jay. He helped, like his whole thing is did you just rob somebody? It's all right, I'll get you. I'm like, yeah, I think that'd be fun work to do. But yeah, just because that kind of thing. But yeah, I think I could win a court case. But like to sit there and read the documents and stuff, it's a little difficult. Things like with biology are kind of tough for me. Biology stuff is tough to retain. Again, I can do it, but I have to try harder, right? History, English, metaphysics, logic, pattern recognition, all that's there's a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? Breeze. What book is that? The book I held up was Healing Insanity by Patrick Uroebu. Dr. Patrick, DBA Dr. Patrick owes me money, or the way I advertise his book. You just created a new wow. This type scare me. Thank you, Dion. I can coexist as long as I don't have to be forced to stay in one place 8 hours a day. Yeah, I'll do more. I have ADHD and I wish it were not real, but it does impact your life in good and bad ways. Yeah, no, ADHD is definitely real. It's real. It's definitely real. But like I feel like if you go to a place like if you go to Africa, like what are they gonna say? You're late? You know what I mean? Like it's just like, oh, you turned in the thing late. People are not time oriented anyway, right? What else with ADHD? If you're getting distracted, you know, that's not a nobody's gonna trip about that at home, right? Nobody's gonna trip about that at home, but it's real. You understand? But it's real. You understand? But I feel like if you have ADHD, it's probably other than like the economic situation, it would be easier to live in a non-Western country. Maybe Asian countries would be hard. In an African country, let me say that. Maybe Latin American, I don't know. But definitely an African country. I think it'd be way easier living that with ADHD because the things that ADHD people have that frustrate other people or do that frustrate other people or cause like issues, nobody's tripping on those things over there. But there's some things that they're tripping on over, like here, it's way easier to be a recluse. It's way easier to be like if you have like maybe say chronic depression and your depression makes you want to pull away from people and just be on your own, that kind of thing. That's hard to do in Africa. It's difficult. You have to be on your own is hard, right? If you're living in the city, it's a little easier. But even at that, because I'll break it down. One of your okay, so let me just give you the scenario. So every if you're an Igbo person, you're from a village, right? And village just means town. It doesn't mean like I realize when you say village, Americans think like huts and sticks and shit. So it just means town, like a town. So everybody has an ancestral town, right? And let's say you move to a big city, right? You get up and move to a big city. If somebody from that town is visiting that city, they may stop by and visit you. That's normal. So you're getting like 3 visits from semi strangers a week because they know your dad and you guys have an ancestor together like 5 generations back and that kind of thing is normal. If you want to stay inside, people think you're sick, right? My aunt, anytime I'm like inside too much, she starts thinking I'm like sick. She was like, "Yeah, you always inside." She has like a high pitched voice. You always like to be inside. Like, why are you always inside? Like, are you sick? That kind of thing. They'll think you're like that kind of thing. So it's hard. It's easier to be like a recluse in America, right? It's easier to be that kind of, but it's easier to have like ADHD in Africa. So that kind of thing. It's just different places. That's what I mean by like it's all real. All those things. Depression's real. ADHD is real. Autism's real. But different places, it's a bigger problem in different places than others. So then they may not classify it as a problem, right? Going around lifting shit, trying to show people how strong you are. That's not a problem in America. That's called okay. That's WrestleMania, bro. That's you can make money from that. Like the people like that. Is sex work considered ara or taboo in Odinani? Sex work, if it's done in an ara way, can be ara, but sex work itself, not really. It's probably it can be it's usually a crime in a community, but it's not ara. It's not like a spiritual crime, right? It's not a spiritual crime. There's 2 layers of law. There's iwala, the laws of the land, which are like murder, no murder, incest, desecrating what's sacred. That's usually the 3 categories of it, right? And then there's the laws we make as human beings amongst each other. That has nothing to do with Allah. It's just between us. You can't steal, you can't, then that's a whole different class of stuff. So some communities, it can be sex work is banned. You can't do that here, right? In other communities, maybe they don't have that law. You understand, right? But yeah, it's not like there's no place where you go where it's like arala. If maybe some places, if you're married and do it, where I'm from, if you're married and do it, yes, that's aro. You understand? If you're married, do it, and your husband knows, that's aro. If you're married, do it, your husband doesn't know, it's just illegal, right? And then I don't know any men selling peen back home, but I think it's a thing now. It's a thing now, but I have no archaeological evidence on that from back. It's not one of those things that people preserve in oral history, right? Um, but yeah, there's accounts of sex work from pre-colonial. Usually, the person would have to leave their community and go to like somewhere else. You can't do it in your community because it's like intensely shameful as well. Like it's there's a lot of shame on it. So it's on your family. It's like intensely. So you have to like go far if you want to do it, right? That kind of thing. Even today, even till this day, a lot of back home, a lot of sex workers will leave the country to go do it, right? They'll go to Italy or Thailand to go do that, but they won't do it at home, right? Because of the shame on the family. But there's also ara sex. There's ara. There's an obanje that's associated with sex work, right? And the way the Dibia, this is the funniest I ever heard. The way the Dibia described it was that if you chain the sex worker to a pillar and go outside, they'll be outside on the corner doing their work, right? Just like you chain them up, you go outside, they're already there. That's obanje level, right? That's not normal, right? It's like a compulsion, right? That kind of thing. That is that would be some type of ara. So on the mo. Is there a name for loving your enemy? That's definitely madness. No, I don't think that's an ara. His name is Uzoranya. Who are we talking about? Uzoranya. 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 But yeah, I think it's just that's a cultural thing too. My my nerdy brain heard Observer and immediately thought of the Watchers on Marvel. Interesting. Spell it out. Ele. I think you're asking me to spell Ele. Ele. Adema. That's awesome. Are all marriages to warlocks bad? I mean, if he's a bad if he's a mean warlock, I think it would be based on the character of the warlock, right? Where'd you find a warlock to get married to? Yo, warlock is crazy. Where did you find a warlock? My friend, where did you find a warlock to be married? You understand? Yeah, I guess if there's a bad or a mean person, a bad or a mean warlock, sure. This isn't like Odinani advice, but it's just me kind of deducing. I don't think just being a warlock immediately makes you bad. I think if you're using your warlockery to do bad, sure. The actual question on the table is where the hell did you find a warlock to be getting married to, right? So maybe you're not asking for me. Maybe you're asking for a friend, right? Or asking for yourself. Like that. That would be nice. An Elsa Fulani one too. Yeah, I think I could do an Elsa one. Finding the ancestral beliefs of people who are currently Muslim is like, oh man, that shit's gone. It's gone. It's gone. I think it's possible. It's possible, but right? Because once Islam takes over a place, it will stamp out every other possible thing you can imagine. It will just completely like you thought the white colonials were bad. Nah. Everything goes, right? Everything goes. If you ask the people, they'll tell you that their traditional name is Muhammad. Well, that's our traditional name. So if that's your traditional name now, imagine now asking about these deeper esoteric concepts. In a lot of the places, it's illegal too. They'll make it illegal. You understand? They'll make it illegal. So I think those who were colonized by Christianity, sadly, are a little luckier in that aspect. Because once it's Islam, they'll get rid of the older Islam, like the Mali Empire, like all of their artifacts. There are heavily armed militias trying to destroy all evidence of the Mali Empire right now. Trying to destroy the libraries, trying to burn all the manuscripts, all that stuff. And you go, but they were Muslim too. Yeah, but they weren't like real Muslims like me, right? They weren't the real Muslims like me, right? That's kind of like a glitch Islam has. It's this glitch. That's why there's always these recurring cycles of violence where everybody's Muslim, and then somebody will say, yeah, but I'm more Muslim than everybody. And then because in an Islamic circle, the closest to deen, like the most Islamic person, has more social gravity. You understand? And so, like, I always tell people, like, I mean, they can argue all they want, but like a bunch of like American Muslims were sitting in a room and like Bin Laden was there. If Bin Laden spoke, they'll all shut the hell up, whether they agree with him or not. And if they don't agree with them, it's because they're fake. And they know it. And he knows it. And so he's going to talk and you're going to shut up. So there's this competition to out Muslim the next. And part of out Musliming somebody is going and destroying the older or the fake versions of it, especially if it comes from Africans. If it comes from Arabs, fine. So there's actual people in Mali right now in the name of Islam trying to destroy the artifacts of the Mali Empire, right? So if they're destroying the Islam, the old Islam, imagine trying to find what came before. Ah, good luck. Good luck. If the Horn of Africa wasn't like very Muslim and very Christian, a lot of what was happening in Egypt, we would know. But that's just gone. It's gone. It is gone because, that kind of, there's a connection between those people. Gone. It's buried under, buried under, buried. And you can't even tell these people, hey, there's something historically significant you guys should take a look at, because they're not trying to fucking, yeah. Oh, their history begins when the Islam began. Christians are like that too, but Christians are soft. Christians in like back in Nigeria, they always try to destroy shrines and kill python. Any animal you consider sacred, they're gonna kill it. Any tree you consider sacred, they want to cut it down, but you just go woo and scare them, they run away. So it's not a big deal. So I make masks and have been doing that for years. That's dope. I live in America. How do I connect? How do I connect spirit through a mask? That's a very intense ritual. It's not something I can just, right? It's a very intense ritual. Send me an email or get on Patreon. Join the traditional medicine class. I think that would be a good topic to learn there, right? Join the traditional medicine class. I think, again, it's not one I can just, right? That kind of thing. But it's doable. Ironically enough, Dion would probably sort of be my traditional name. Okay, yeah, I did ask that. It's my middle name, and my mom and sister share. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah. So it's your native name. Odinala. People like to call us the Dions. Odinala. It's a nice name. Howdy, and there. Well, Rude Mechanicals, and there. Well, I feel like I haven't seen your name in a minute. In your Patreon post, you said that the okra is aligned with aghon. So that was a mistake. So if you go to the comments, I fixed that. I think the okra is closer aligned to your chi. The okra is closer aligned to your chi, or the kra is closer aligned to your chi. And I correct that in the video that I'm going to release too. So I did make a mistake. I was going to go erase it, but I was like, some people have read it. So let me just go ahead and type it under. So I don't know. So okra aligned with your aghon. So would the aghon be aligned with the uri? Okay, good, perfect. So uri, okra, and chi are all aligned. I made a mistake of putting it in the aghon space, right? My bad. It's the chi. It's your chi, or it's the equivalent of the chi. I think that fixes it. Spell it out for me, thanks. Internet is buggy. I did that. Okay. The fact that it's easier to be a recluse in America is actually why I asked myself about hermits and Gnostics, because that's how I find myself practicing a lot of book reading and meditation. Yeah, that's fine. And there's introverts at home, but they always seem tired. They always seem exhausted. Oh shit! Yeah, there's a lot. It's very social society, right? But the socialization isn't tiring. I think socialization is tiring in the U.S. because there's a lot of acting, and acting is more exhausting than exercising. Yeah, the socialization at home there's a lot of it, but it's not exhausting. It's not tiring. You understand, right? Um, yeah, I don't there's a lot of reasons I think that socializing in the West is a little tiring. Like you get drained. You understand? So that kind of thing. Like you can sit in a room with somebody and not say anything for like 1 hour and it's okay. But in the West, if somebody comes over to your house, you kind of feel like you got to entertain them, right? You got to feel like, oh, okay, I got to talk to you about interesting things and show you that I'm interesting and what. But like I remember, like whenever I go back, I always take these long pauses before going back, which I need to stop doing. But the last time I went, not even last time, like a couple. Usually when I go back, the first like 3 days, I have to adjust to like people coming over to like my family home and me not feeling like I have to entertain them. You offer them something and you greet them. And if you guys sit in the living room and nobody says anything, it's not even awkward. It's okay. But in the West, I'd feel awkward because it's like, oh, so those first 3 days, I always feel like I gotta this and that. Oh, what's your name? Ooh, just no, one day, no. You just sit down and chill. You can do your thing, as long as you're kind of keeping each other company. They may, after a few minutes, ask you a question, right? You answer, you ask them a question, they answer, chill. Then they just, all right, well, goodbye. Because the act of visiting you is the important thing. It's not like you entertaining them or anything like that. So it's not really draining. Like, it's not tiring. It's not as difficult, right? That kind of thing. So I'll do my. A lot of good mornings, good morning, good morning, good morning in the language, of course. Greetings, and that's fine. But if you walk by someone and don't greet them, that's crazy. If maybe you have a guest come into your house, you don't greet them, that's crazy, right? In the West, I don't have to greet you, but I got to entertain you, right? I got to keep you, which is not bad. America, not Europe is different. America. I'm not saying it's bad. There's aspects of the American system that I like, you'll just be standing next to somebody and motherfucker turn around to you, tell you just some nonsense, some crazy ass shit. You're like, all right, well, here we are talking about this crazy, and you talk that, you move on, right? That's cool. But you don't get that as much. So I do wonder. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm introverted, I'm extroverted." Are you introverted or extroverted because of where you find yourself or the culture you're in? Right? I think most people in Japan probably think a lot of people in Japan probably think they're introverted. Is it them or is it their culture? Right? So, yeah. Dion, I'm not shocked. That's a good mistress name. Yo, what's going on? What did I miss? We got mistress names now? See it along the lace through Martin. All right. All right. You're desecrating your own vessel. No. So that would be Aro. No, it's not Aro. It's not Aro. Your body is your vessel. That's between you and you. It's not Aro. Unless your community has made it Aro. It's not universally Aro to do. So it might be illegal. It's illegal. There's layers. Not every Aro is not the end and beginning of people's moral considerations or ethical considerations. There's also law. Communities have their laws, which have nothing to do with Arala. You can make a law also Arala. You can make a law Arala. You understand? In my community, this is the first time we've done this in probably 100 years. They made a new thing, Arala, which is this is going to sound harsh to Americans. If you die of an overdose, that's Arala. Because we didn't have drugs, I guess, hard narcotics in the past, right? And people, it means a lot for people to be buried properly. And if you commit Aro, you can't be buried properly, right? So that's a deterrent, right? So yeah. Them sects of Islam be beefing hard for even within the sect itself. Just whoever. My first serious relationship was with a Muslim girl, and I kind of learned a lot about their community, good and bad, right? It's not just I don't want to come here and be oh, Muslims are awesome people. They're great people, right? They're great people. If you're lost or in need or anything like that, you find yourself among Muslims, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And I have a hard time saying that for everybody. Muslims are great people. But there are some things that I did see in the community, and I looked into, and and I look in Nigeria and all, I'm oh yeah, it does. This is a real thing. And it's not even the sects. It's whoever, if we're in a room, if there's a room full of people, whoever is the most Muslim gets to speak. That's the authority, right? Whoever is the most Muslim person is the authority. They could be the poorest person in the room, right? And then what? And then how do you prove most Muslim? Well, there's a lot of social rigmarole that goes into that, right? So people are always like, "Oh, they're forcing the women to wear the blah blah blah." Kinda, but nah, nah. That hijab is a flex. It is a flex, right? And if somebody is doing their little liberal one where their hair is showing, but whatever, they got something on their head, and then somebody's not showing the hair, the person that's not showing the hair gets a little more respect in this room than the person that's showing the hair. And then, okay, with that mentality, now we get into this, right? Now, that person, aha, right? Aha, right? And then that's how you get the one that now they put the thing that covers that. It keeps getting more and more and more and more and more because there's a lot of social currency in being more Muslim, right? There's a lot of social currency in being more Muslim. That's where the social currency lies. You understand? So, that's just what that is, And then like the lowest, and this is according to my ex, the lowest form of Muslim is the ones that eat pork because of the way she puts it is that is so easy to avoid that you couldn't even do that. And you're like lower than low, right? So yeah, it's a thing I saw, but it happens a lot in Nigeria. It happens a lot in the whole West Africa. Once you get to like the Islamic side, things are shaking. Why are things shaking? Because of this cycle that keeps happening over and over. It's been happening for hundreds of years, right? Where in the north, right, the history of the north, they had the Hausa city states, right? These were countries that were Muslim. They all spoke Hausa. There was like about 7 of them, I think. They were Muslim. They had been Muslim for thousands of years. And then the one Fulani, a different ethnic group, priest goes, these are fake Muslims. They're not real Muslims. That the real Islam is what they're doing in Arabia. The original Hausa Islam is very similar to like the Islam you'll encounter in like Senegal, and the Islam you'll encounter in like some parts of Yoruba, and the Islam you'll encounter in like parts of Ghana. This is why you get a lot more terrorism in Nigeria than all these other places, because they said that casual kind of African Islam, fake. We got to do the one they're doing, in Arabia. And so he got a bunch of students like, yeah, he's right. And again, this guy's super radical, right? So if I'm near him, I'm getting that social credit too. I'm getting that social currency of being a real Muslim, right? Oh, if you're really real, it's like a gang. It's like gangbang. Oh, you real? Oh, you really real? All right, shoot him. And so okay, boom, they take over these different Hausa states. They said that the Hausa leaders were corrupt, right? Be careful for that word. Be careful for that word. Everybody's leaders gets described as corrupt except the Western ones. I find that strange, right? It's usually a catalyst for taking them out, right? And so they take her all these places, and then they establish their thing. But then in like the 2000s, one guy goes, "This is fake. This isn't even the real Islam. The real Islam is Sharia law. We don't even have Sharia law." So then, boom, they all switch to Sharia law, right? And now Boko Haram is saying this Sharia law Islam is fake because you have education, you have Western education here. You use books. Buku means book. Buku haram. Books are haram. Books are haram, right? The most anti-reading rainbow ass shit ever. So they formed, yeah, he's right. They're right. Why are we doing all why? Yeah, that kind of thing. Why are girls going to school? Why is there school? It should only be Islamic school. That kind of thing. And then let's say Boko Haram takes over, somebody else will pop up and say, I don't know, nigga, why are we black? Right? It's just gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. That kind of thing. So it's just what it is, man. Midnight lover. The sex of Islam, Eurocentric swap. Arabs should have kept their stuff at home. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, most of the Gnostic sects of religions are gone, unfortunately. Yeah. Those are soft. Tell Christians that you find Man, Christians at home will accuse a family member of some juju. Oh my God. Everybody's always trying to do juju to them. Everybody's trying to steal their destiny. Their enemies are always coming. Their enemies are coming after them. I gotta go get more Jesus powers because the enemy is some man. It's just paranoia. Everybody's after me. Everything is juju. This person's gonna do juju to me. That kind of thing. If this person pours fucking salt water on my head, I would. You can't do juju to me anymore. You know, and it's crazy. I think. I think. Anyway, so let me leave that alone. But yeah, they're kind of soft. Puritans had to go and find another country to practice because they couldn't handle the smoke at home. Yeah. Uh-oh. What I just do? No, 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 no. Protestants kind of have that same trait with Islam too, right? That's why you see so many like Protestant themed cults pop up, right? Protestant Christians, they're not as bad about it as Muslims, but they're kind of like that too. Catholics just eat the little bread. You're like, oh, yeah, right. Which to me, I think that's better. That makes more sense. It's safer for everybody except kids. They get involved making. Okay, let me go back. I missed a lot of questions. Peace, God. How similar are Amosu and Hoodoo? Probably very similar. Yeah, probably very, very similar, right? Because I mean, I still have to learn more about Hoodoo. But to my knowledge, Hoodoo deals more with the practical, right? It deals more with like the practical. It's more nature and medicine focused. Um, and that kind of thing, which is very like same thing with Amosu. I mean, the only difference between Amosu and the Dibia is the Dibia is like socially acknowledged, right? They've done the initiation on it. They're doing it for society. Their society, right? But the Amosu and a lot of hoodoos are a little more secretive about what they're doing just because of their circumstances. Well, the hoodoos because of their circumstances, the Amosu because you know they might be up to some. Who knows, man? Oh shit. I'm gonna be my birth name, Shanny. Okay. Jada kisses wife seems pretty. Wait, what? Oh. My mom said, okay. Man, creative force is on one today. Why not? Creative force is going is in a flow state. Oh shit. Islam's not just a religion, it's a culture. No difference between religion and a culture. People, I think the Westerners created this myth where there's like a thing called religion and a thing called culture. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Culture in the Western sense is what your religion allows you to get away with. That's really what it is, but it's still your religion. It's all the same thing. That's why people get so confused. What's Judaism? Is it a culture? Is it an ethnic group? Is it a religion? It's all of it. It's all the same thing, right? It's the ancestral tradition of those people, right? And they're not your people. Those aren't your ancestors. You don't have any ancestors named goddamn Nebuchadnezzar or whatever. I don't know what characters they got in there, right? That's them. Damn, they're burning. Yeah, they're trying to. So the Mali government's fighting them. But where any place, if they win and there's like a library there, they destroy it. You can look it up. It was really bad around, I want to say 2015 or like between 2011 to 2015. Dance the night away. I keep singing this song. I'm gonna post in the link to the guy that made the song. He's like a kid. He makes Nigerian disco. Just so random. But like I love it, dude. This is good shit. So if you're random like me, you might like his music. Been singing this shit for like 3 days. Fun fact, they all got involved in making their own. Them six and be beefing. How'd I get up here again? I'm forever tired. Ambiverts. I'm a performer, social butterfly. I don't get why it goes. Yeah, I used to think I was introverted, but I think I'm extroverted. But I just don't want to be talking to people. Does that make sense? I think I don't know if that shit's even real, bro. It's just, you know. But yeah, I like talking to people. This is my vert, right? I like for example, I like having people over, but I want them to be over and then I want to be in a room that they're not in. Like it's like nice to have them in the house. It's a nice, good feeling. I like it, but I don't. I like my social battery runs out, and I want to be in a whole different room, right? So that happens a lot with me. We'll go visit my in-laws, or we'll go visit like my sister, or that kind of thing, and everybody's hanging out, and I'll just like I have to like fight not to walk it, like go on not to go somewhere else because my social battery just runs out like so fast and that kind of thing, right? Doo-doo-doo. Unless they're talking about something I'm interested in, which is rare. Congo prostitution was taboo, as was creating, supporting social system that enforces women to need prostitution, monogamy, uneven birth rates. Yeah. In nearly every Igbo community, it's illegal. It's culturally illegal, but illegal is different from a spiritual taboo. It's different from a spiritual taboo, right? Yeah. I hope you guys can understand that, right? It's like in the West, there's the 10 commandments and then there's like the county law. Okay. So it's not in the 10 commandments, but it's against county law, if that makes sense. Right? Maybe that's a good way to explain it to Americans. But like in the modern day, people that don't know the difference will just say all of it, they'll call all of it taboo if it's like an old thing that people are against, right? But there's arala, which is specific and clear. The way you know the difference is if you do it, they have to clear the land. Like they have to cleanse the land. Like nobody can walk on that land until it's been cleansed. Only very specific people can do the cleansing. It's a multiple day process. They then bathe you over. Actually, they put you in isolation. Like you got live somewhere outside the community until like everything's clear. They wash you over and then you come back, atone, apologize. Then you're accepted back in to the community, right? Reluctantly, right? Some people still be like, right, that kind of thing. That's the difference. So some things are just illegal in the community. You understand? But you don't have to do all that because it's not aro. It's you didn't violate Allah. You violated maybe yourself or your community or your family and that kind of thing, your neighbor, that kind of thing. I had to cut cords with a bunch of times, but because he was my first relationship and I've suffered. Yeah. So if you're new as far as understanding Odinala, we have this thing called Ofo. And because we still understand Ofo, we know that the effects of warlocks are not as strong as a lot of people make it out to be in places like Nollywood and things like that, right? So what is Ofo? Ofo are your personal spiritual laws, right? When you come into the world, the one I've been talking about is the community's spiritual laws, right? But like I said, as it is out there, so it is in here. So if the community has spiritual laws, you also have personal spiritual laws known as your ofo. Ofo. If you are following your personal spiritual laws, nobody can warlock you or juju you or anything like that. That's why there's an ilu that says, I think you've heard this before, Chika Nsi. Chika Nsi. Now, a lot of Christians will use it to say Chi equals Jesus and Nsi equals Juju. So Jesus is bigger than Juju, is stronger than Juju, is greater than Juju. That's not what that means. Chi is not Jesus, right? Your Chi, your personal spark of the divine is greater than nsi juju, warlockery, right? And so you stay in alignment with your chi, you're fine. Like a war, all that stuff is like the analogy I often use is like rain. If you're outside of your house, the rain will touch you. If you're within your house, this is abstract. I don't mean literally. If you're within your house, means spiritually, nothing can affect you. So once you start stepping out, then now something will happen to you, right? So I'll do more. Compass versus coordinate, lawful and legal. I've been leaving in the middle of events. If you want to stay longer, I need to recover. Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. I need. I'm trying. It's not something I'm super proud of, right? But yeah, I do need, like, if there's a lot going on socially, like a lot of noise, I have to step away, breathe a little bit, come back. Or I would prefer if everybody was okay with me, even in school, right? Even in school, like when I was like in high school and stuff, I'd always have to leave the room. You understand? I'd always have to leave the room. And I remember I had this class at the local community college where it was a class about how to be good at school, right? And it was such an impactful, like, I love that class in retrospect. But I remember I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask. I was like, what impression do you get of me as a student? Like after I wait for everybody to leave, and he's like, well, I get the impression that you don't want to be here. And I'm like, okay, why? He's like, well, you fidget a lot, and then you get up and leave a lot. And I explained, okay, these are just whatever. But I've noticed that a lot of teachers, like by the end of the class, will start looking at me like they'll like there's tension, so there's something I'm signaling or putting off, that is whatever. And I try to explain that. He's like, okay, these are that he said his words were, teachers have a lot of ego. So if they see you, if they're talking, you get up and leave, they see it like we're having a conversation, you just start walking off, right? Like it affects them. You understand? So let them know this is how you are, and it'll be fine. I was like, yeah, thank you for that. It was impactful, but yes, I just can't do it sometimes. I got to get up again and hop. Unless we're talking about something I'm really interested in, right? Are you saying that Alo is the law the people created? The spiritual law can be classified? Okay, no. Aro is the law that Allah, that the earth created. And if you're going to live on the earth and coexist with the earth, you follow her laws. So I'll use the example everybody's familiar with, right? The 10 Commandments. If you understand Odinala, you kind of understand that a lot of things happening in the Bible a lot more. Before they can enter Israel, they have to receive these laws. These laws are not laws the same way like you go to Congress and vote and all that stuff, or maybe a king says it. Those are laws. The 10 Commandments is the Iwu Allah, the Aru Allah of Jerusalem, of Israel, of Zion, whatever the fuck they called it in the Bible, right? For that specifically, in order for you to live on land, you have to know what is Aru in that land. And those things listed on there were Aru in that land. Okay. Then when they get there, okay, these are things. Then they start making laws amongst each other. Okay, what is it? If somebody whips your slave, then they have to give you 3 chickens, all that stuff. That's not Aru. That's not whatever. Those are just laws. Iwala is different from laws. Okay. So Iwa, like at home in Igbo land, if somebody commits Aruala, which is a violation against Allah, which is a breach of Iwala, there's a very specific ceremony that we have to do to even let this person come back into the community, or to even let people touch the soil that the thing was committed on. Okay. But if there are laws that you can break, like stealing, and we wouldn't have to cleanse the land, because stealing is not against Allah. It's against the person you're violating. It's me and you. I stole from you. I violated you, and I violated the community, the trust of the community. It has nothing to do with Allah. As far as Allah sees it, we're all the same. We're all the same. So for it's like my daughter saying that my son took her Skittle. Okay, give it back. But I'm not gonna like tear my house down because it happened, right? It's totally different. Right? It's totally different. So iwala, like for example, all day, every day throughout, like we'll use the Bible because people are familiar. People were committing all kinds of crimes in the Bible, right? People were committing all kinds of crimes. The Pharisees were doing this and that and boo, all that stuff. Or let me not use the Pharisee example. Just people were committing crimes in the Bible. There were people who, oh, I'm a thief, whatever, right? And then, but what happens? God ends up expelling the Israelites or some shit like that, like a whole bunch of times. And the reason God has to keep expelling them is because they keep violating the laws of Allah, the laws of the land. So now I have to destroy you as a people. I have to get rid of you. I have to get off this land. You're no longer protected. If you're keeping those laws, you are protected. If you're keeping the laws of Allah, you are protected. If you're keeping the laws you made amongst each other, you may or may not be. I mean, it's just that's between y'all, right? But you are spiritually protected if you're keeping these laws of the land. So that if somebody tries to invade you, it can't happen. If somebody tries to destroy, it can't happen. But once you break that iwala, it's not that you'll disappear right when you break it. But when something hard comes against you, it's going to prevail over you, right? It's going to prevail. It's like I said with the rain. So long as you're within the laws of Allah, you're like in your house. So if the rain comes, it's not going to hit you. If the hail comes, it's not going to hit you. Once you break iwala, now you and your furniture are outside. It doesn't mean you're immediately going to pass away or you're immediately going to get rained on. But once it starts raining, you're going to get hit. You're not protected anymore. Once it starts snowing, you're going to get hit. You're not protected anymore. So iwala is deeper than law. It's like, I don't even call it spiritual law. It's the law of the earth, literally, right? Which is different of the law of people, what we do amongst each other. You understand, right? So, or traditional ways from healing from burnout. I'm pretty sure everyone needs that. Oh, that's a good question. And it's such a good question that I don't want to give a quick answer. But let me think about it. Rest. Rest. Profound, real rest. I've started treating rest like an art form. So in the traditional calendars, there's 4 days. Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo. Eke is a day of rest. So I treat Eke, unless I have like an obligation, like going live, things like that. I treat that like it's an like I rest as an art form. I keep my eyes closed as much as possible. I don't look at screens. I really don't check like WhatsApp, anything like that. I don't check nothing. I actually try to get the most profound possible rest imaginable. I practice rest like it's an art form, right? And by the time the day, Eke Day is ending, I'm so eager to get back to work. And not just because I feel like bad or whatever, but it's just because I'm tired of resting. I'm tired of resting. And that helps me a lot. That helps me a lot, right? Um, but yeah, another thing you can consider is again, when you are doing the things that pertain to your chi, like I've been yapping for almost 2 hours. Nothing, nothing. I can get up and run around the block right now. I can get up and, whatever physical feat you put in front of me right now, I'll at least try it because I'm lit right now, right? Why? Because I'm within my chi. I'm doing the thing that my chi wants me to do, and it's giving. I'm feeling that sun, right? Now, once I stop, I'm still a human. Once this screen goes off, I will crash. But right now, my Ikenga Moranya, my Ikenga's awake, right? And so, considering that as well, a lot of things we do throughout the day have nothing to do with us and our chi. And that causes burnout. That's why acting is so exhausting. That's why acting is sincerely exhausting because you're so far from the thing. You're so far from the thing. This is not just like casual. You're literally being another person. Now you're tired. You know, being yourself, you're not tired, right? So you can design a life for that when you have the power to. I use the Eke day to rest, but I'm fortunate enough and lucky enough to be doing something like this that I really love. And then have a community that's like super understanding. Where like you guys like, I mean, every now and then we get some like, I sent you an email, person, right? Which I don't blame them, right? That's fine. I get it, right? It's far from my mentality, so I don't really understand it all the way, but I don't blame them, right? I'm not like, I don't like, I think it's sometimes it's kind of like, yo, chill out, bro. But most people in in the community that we've put together, they kind of understand, hey, he needs to rest, that kind of thing. So, um, a lot of my advice might be partly because I'm a little lucky. But yeah, on your rest days, like let's say you have Saturdays off, take that shit seriously. Oh, I gotta get this. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because guess what? All the stuff you want to do, it's funny too, because when you're burnt out, and this is something and like I'm like a burnout king. Trust me, I know about being burnt out. When you're burnt out, you think you have to do all these things, and you try to do them, but you're also trying to rest while you're doing them. So something that should take 2 minutes ends up taking 1 hour because you're trying to rest while you're doing it. So you're doing it, and okay, let me check my phone. Okay, let me play a little word Scrabble, what do you call that? Those games, that kind of thing. Let me go outside and do this real quick. Okay, let me get back to doing that thing. And okay, let me try to find motivation. Because you're trying to rest while doing it. So if you actually lock in and rest for real, like sleep as much as possible on your days off, right? I mean, some of us have very small children, things like that. There's extraordinary circumstances. There's circumstances that make this hard. But when you get the opportunity to rest, don't start making to-do lists. Really rest. And what's going to happen is the next day, now make the to-do list. You'll get it all done in 1 hour. You'll get it all done in what, because you're lit. You have your energy. You have your mind to you. You're doing it without yearning for rest. So that's just my own take on it. No. In the Bible, the Assyrians took over and settled in Israel. They were attacked by snakes. So they asked about the laws that govern the land and made sacrifices so the plagues would go away. Ray X. Come take Audrey. Come take Audrey. Where's the camera? Oh yeah, no, I keep thinking, yeah, take Audrey now. Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, if you understand Odinani, all that's the Bible stuff makes more sense. You understand? I don't think it goes vice versa, though. I don't think it's vice versa. Right. Need rest like that. Yeah. Profound, ridiculous, deep ass rest. No to-do lists. No, the world will be fine. The world will be fine if you believe it or not. You are important, but you're not so important that the world will end if you just sit your ass down. Right. Oh me, I gotta go do this. And then no, the hell you don't. Because if you're tired and you're trying to do that shit, it's gonna take you 10 times as long to do those things. Right. If I'm tired, I'm trying to send an email. If I get my rest, like that. So that's a good idea. I need some maps. Insight comes from small communities, nature, and periods of solitude. Exactly. And a lot of what you think work produces is actually produced in rest. A lot of what you think work produces is actually produced in rest, is actually produced in sleep, is actually produced in stillness, is actually produced in solitude. A lot of the things you think you have like willpower your way through. No, 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 no. Not at all. Right. Let's say you have a big project and it's you every time you get on there, you can't start, you're tired. So rest, rest. Don't even think about the project. Rest, 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 sleep. Then go do it. Done. It's been working for me. It's not a perfect formula, right? But I juggle a lot of things. I don't really like to get into like, oh, I do this and I do this and I do that because who cares, right? I juggle a lot of things, and it wouldn't be possible if I didn't have like an actual like meditative resting practice, right? So consider that. Oh, this is a good quote. Where is it at? We think we need to do all of the things when burnt out in order to escape the life that causes us to be burnt out. Ironic, chronic, catatonic. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a bad cycle. I've been off work for 2 weeks now, and I haven't even had the energy to think. So I have no choice but to rest. Good, good, good. So good. Hope you get your energy back. That's why I'm not a big fan of capitalism. Constant go, 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 work till you drop, and then rest, but plan for the next time you're working. Yeah, yeah. It's a ridiculous system. Mm-mm. I don't rest enough. And I start work well before the sun rises. Yeah, it sucks, especially if you gotta like wake up unnaturally early, deal with traffic, all that stuff. So I'm just talking about days off. Your day off is in the Bible. Like I'm like a damn like a fucking goddamn Joel Osteen today, man. I'm just right. The way they talk about the Sabbath, that shit's not. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to just do. Period. Right? May not have to be that exact day that they tell you, but that's how you're supposed to rest. Like just this is all I'm doing. That's it. Period. Because again, life is stillness and motion. And you can't think the motion is so good that you don't ever give yourself stillness. When I'm off, I'm off. Same. Yeah, same. Yeah, same, same, same. So actually, funny enough, let me see when my next one. Let me see what my kids know it's Eke because they can come bother me. Today was Eke, right? Today was Eke. Today I did do some work though, but I went to my niece's basketball game. I took my daughter to the library. That's it. And then I went live. Um, do 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 do. But I wasn't aware it was Eke. I was just my natural rhythm now as a human is now slowed down on this day. So I always like some days I won't know it's Eke, but then I'll check. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't do too much today. And I didn't feel bad about it either. Tomorrow, if I don't do much, I'll feel bad about it. So yeah. Other dragons in Igbo mythology. I have not encountered dragons. I have not encountered dragons. But there's the flying serpent, there's the rainbow serpent, Eguregu, Eguregu, which means play. It also says the word play. Eguregu, the rainbow serpent, right? I don't know too much about Eguregu, so I'm still trying to learn more about Eguregu. But there's this serpent, this flying serpent. But consider this too. The so our consciousness it's about time for me to go, but our consciousness comes in two ways, right? Akko and uche. So we receive wisdom from the earth, wisdom from sky, and that feeling of receiving it is serpentine. It feels like a serpent when you receive akko from the earth, wisdom from the earth, right? um and when you receive wisdom from sky, it's bird like. It feels like bird like, flight like, right? that kind of thing. So a dragon's almost like a merger of the two. It's a flying serpent, right? It's a merger, akonuche, right? So now with that, I can probably go into all these different cultures that talk about dragons a lot and see that, okay, yeah, that is actually what's being symbolized. Akonuche. Right. So be aware. There's a lot of cultures in the world, right? There's this little thing that I haven't shared it all the way, but I'm seeing this historical consistency. There's a lot of cultures in the world whose origin story starts with killing a serpent. Let me just say this. There's a lot of cultures in the world whose origin story requires them to kill a serpent. There's a lot of flags in the world of an eagle killing a serpent. An eagle killing a serpent, an eagle carrying a serpent away, an eagle carrying a banner, but the banner is kind of curled up like a snake, isn't it? Right? Mexico, you got the bird on top of the cactus eating the snake, that kind of thing. There's a lot of cultures that have that symbology. Then there's a lot of cultures where they merge and they're a dragon. There's a lot of cultures where you have to slay the dragon in order to get to the treasure. So these things are not by accident. These things are not by accident. There's something being communicated there, right? And when you start seeing who has what symbols and who has what story, you start knowing who's who. No. Oh, that's interesting. All right, and there one of y'all. We gotta hop. All I'm gonna do is like start when I yawn, my eyes water. So you guys are just gonna watch me cry if I stay on here longer. This has been a great conversation. You guys join the Patreon. Every time I go live, somebody joins Patreon. So today it could be you, right? Yeah, join the Patreon. Get on the Patreon community. Patreon, full access to my research library, full access to our group studies, the exclusives we have on there. And then the Odinala calendar. So if you want to start doing the Eke Day that I was talking about, I can link it to your Google Calendar so that you what the observances are and how to do it and all that stuff. Different moons, what each moon means, and that kind of thing. So if you're interested in all that, I believe that's all accessible at every level on Patreon. So join at whatever level you're comfortable with. Right. Those of you who are usually at the beginning of the month, some people like need time to like renew the membership or whatever. That's fine. That's okay. Right. This is all good. No wait. That being said, Onogade, Nogeto, Nkobala. I keep forgetting this is not the camera anymore. Kobla no tiriaka gadenoa gadio twaneke norie nafo na nkwo. He said, all right, take care, y'all.